Why is change so hard? Even when you know what to do. It's not about your discipline. It's not a personal flaw. It's not about motivation always failing you. It's your identity. Hey, and welcome to another episode of Give Yourself Some Leeway with me, your host, Eugene Lee. Today we're following up on last week's episode about the reality loop. And it's a common question about why does change always feel so hard? We're trying to incorporate these new habits into our lives, and sometimes they just don't stick. So why is change so hard? Even when you know what to do. It's not about your discipline. It's not a personal flaw. It's not about motivation always failing you. It's your identity. Now, most people try to force that new habit through pressure and white knuckling and sheer willpower. But the real change starts when you believe in who you are. So let's fix that. We'll start with fitness. Fitness is always a good example, I think. And you want to work out more consistently. You know the science, you've got the workout program, you've got all the plans, but day after day, you skip. You beat yourself up. Oh, why am I always so lazy? Then you skip again. Oh, this always happens. I'll never have the energy for this. I'm never good enough. Why does this happen? Because your actions of wanting to go work out contradict who you see yourself as. If you see yourself as being lazy, always skipping, never having energy, always too busy to make time for the things, then you're going to reinforce those. You're going to take the actions that reinforce that identity. When we look at high performers, when we see the people who can go to the gym every day, we see the athletes. They don't make excuses for missing a workout. It's not that they push through the discipline, they push through the lazy part. They create an identity of becoming someone who trains. Every rep that they do proves it. Every time they skip it, disproves that identity. So if you change the identity, the actions you take follow naturally. So let's take an example of doing push-ups. Push-ups, workout, I think is a great example. So starting off, if your gym plan's not working out and you say, "Oh, I can't do 10 push-ups. Oh, I just can't make that effort right now." Those doing those 10 push-ups it's not about the exercise. It's about giving that identity a signal, giving a vote towards that identity. Doing those 10 reps isn't about the fitness. Doing those 10 reps are proof that your identity is not as a lazy person. It's proof that you can follow through on what you promise. It's proof that you're becoming a different kind of person. So if you hold to that and do the 10 push-ups and stay consistent with that workout, those 10 push-ups are about giving a vote to the identity of the person you want to become. It's not about the 10 reps being hard. It's simply about them showing that you're not the kind of person who quits on the promise you make. And then by skipping, if you skip that workout, if you skip those 10 push-ups and say, "Oh, see, I skipped a day. That makes me lazy." That one small action of skipping and the narrative of saying, "Oh, I've just reinforced that I can be lazy." That's rewriting your self-image as a lazy person. The difference that we want to see is creating an identity of who you want to become. And that comes back to the reality loop. So let's take for an example, the reality loop that we used last week is that you see yourself a certain way. The thoughts and the narrative you have in your head is going to create a dialogue of why you are that kind of person. And when you speak that dialogue out, I'm a lazy person. Oh, I don't go to the gym every day. I'm too lazy. The actions you're going to take are going to reinforce that narrative. So you skip the gym. You don't go for that walk. You don't do those 10 push-ups. As a result, you've missed out on that exercise. The outcome is, oh, I didn't go to the gym today. And that reinforces the belief that you are a lazy person. What high performers do is they flip the script. They see how they act right now. They see the results, they see the actions that led to those results, the thoughts that led to those actions, and the behavior, their behavior. How can I change that? What's the identity I have of myself? Can I change that identity? I want to become the person who trains every day. I want to become the person who prioritizes their energy so that I can spend it on more meaningful things. So here is a 5-minute shift, a 5-minute identity shift you can use today in order to implement a new identity and stick with your habits. So the first thing to do is choose that new identity. What's the kind of person you want to become? You want to become the person who can do 10 push-ups. I want to be the person who takes care of my body. I want to be the person who enjoys spending more time with my loved ones with more energy. I want to be the kind of person who connects with new people. I want to be the kind of person who enjoys reading a book in my spare time. First thing to do is to choose that identity. Next thing is to write it down and say it out loud. Because if we keep it as a thought in our head, we are programmed to have a negativity bias. So if we keep that thought in our head, our negativity bias will say, well, that was a silly idea. That's never going to work. But if we write it down and we say it out loud, it becomes tangible. It's us reshaping how we see our reality of the identity we want to create. Step two is to ask the identity question. What would that type of person do today? What would someone who trains do today? What would someone who enjoys reading do today? What's the smallest action that I can take in 5 minutes to reinforce that identity? So if I'm someone who trains, what can I do? Start with 10 push-ups. To become someone who enjoys reading, start with reading one page. I'm someone who enjoys connecting with new people. Start by texting a friend and inviting them for coffee or a phone call or a FaceTime this week. Not just sending an Instagram reel or sending a funny cat video and that being your 6 months worth of communication. Connecting with them and seeing how they are, what's going on in their life, sharing stories, connecting on a deeper level, remembering what it's like to have a human experience. That's connecting with other people. That is a small action you can take to invite someone for a conversation later in the week. Next step is to affirm this identity. You've taken the action. That's a vote towards the identity you want to create. Now acknowledge that you've taken that action. Affirm that vote by saying, that's who I am. That's one more piece of evidence of the person who I want to become. If you follow this 4-step process, choose the identity, write it down, ask that identity question, what would that person do today? And then affirm the action. Once you take it, affirm the action and say, that's who I want to become. This is one more piece of evidence. This will compound over time. That's the kind of person I want to be. This is the kind of person who I want to become. And this gives evidence towards that. Your self-image updates automatically. The resistance to the habit, to the change you want to make, the resistance disappears. So, high achievers and high performers we see don't wait for motivation to happen. They create the momentum by choosing the identity they want to create. They break the reality loop, what's been holding them back in the past, the actions that confirm the beliefs that they have held in the past by shifting the identity that they have now to who they want to become. James Clear says, and I always come back to this James Clear quote of you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. If you keep on asking yourself, why can't I change? Why is change always so difficult for me? Then that's not a system that's working for you. That's an outdated system. So you are not broken. You're not flawed. You're not a failure. Your self-image and the systems that you use just need an update. And you can start by making a small change. Rather than saying, why can't I change today? Start asking yourself, what identity am I growing into today? What's the identity I'm trying to create? And the actions I'm taking on a daily basis, are those actions a vote for that identity or a vote against that identity? Thank you again for joining today. And if this resonates with you, please check out the last episode on the reality loop or reach out to me. I do enjoy when people reach out and maybe want a synopsis of this podcast. You can reach out with the episode number and leeway and send it to eugene@leeway.ie. Thank you, and until next time, take care.